Good morning, boys and girls. So, yesterday we talked about character traits, motivations, and feelings. So just to review, the traits mean what is the character like? How would you describe them? It's those adjectives, those words that we would use to describe our character based on how they act. Not on the outside, but what's their personality like on the inside? Their motivations mean what do they want? Characters in a story are the reason they're doing a certain thing is because they want something. Okay. In Opal's case, she's lonely and she wants to have friends. And I did just mention her feelings. Feelings are how does the character feel? Their feelings are going to affect their motivations. Okay. Um, we learn about our character throughout the story's plot, and I've used that word a few times lately. And I just want to make sure you understand what the plot means. A plot of any book is a series of events in a story. So you have different things that happen throughout the story. And as those things happen, we learn about our character. So as I'm reading Winn-Dixie, we are learning all about Opal throughout the plot of the story, the events that are happening. Event one might be her finding Winn-Dixie in the grocery store and telling the grocery store owner that was her dog and taking him home to her dad. I learned about Opal in that event. I learned that she was kind-hearted and brave. She stood up to the grocery store owner and took the dog home, and because he needed her. All right, and throughout the story, we're going to keep learning more about her through the plot, through the events. For today, you're going to need from your folder this packet. Okay, it says characters and plot. It's exactly what I've been talking about, so I'm going to give you a minute to find that quick from your folder because I'm going to have you follow along with me. I'm going to read the second story. So go ahead and find that. And when you find it, you'll see that the first page is a lot about what I talked about yesterday. It's explaining traits, motivations, and feelings. Okay? And then it actually talks to you about the plot too. I'm going to go ahead and read the story on the second page, which is The Pied Piper of Hamelin. It's kind of a difficult text, so I thought I'd read it to you. You can follow along. And as I'm reading it, think about the traits, the motivations, the feelings, and the plot. A lot to think about. Long ago, the town of Hamelin had a problem. Rats. The rodents swarmed into town searching for food, water, and warm places to sleep. The townsfolk were desperate to get rid of these pests. One day, a stranger came to town and made an offer. He said he would rid the town of every single rat. His fee for the service was 1 shilling per rat. In desperation, the town agreed. Please start immediately, they begged. The stranger took out a pipe and he began to play a beautiful tune. From nooks and crannies, the rats began to come. They followed the piper as he walked through the streets of town. As he played the delightful music, they followed him out of town and to the river. There, the piper stood on the banks of the river. One by one, every rat jumped in the water, drowned, and was swept away. When the piper returned to town for his payment, the townsfolk grew angry. How dare you ask us to pay, they cried. Any decent human would help others at no cost. And they went into their houses and slammed their doors. Without another word, the piper left town. On Sunday, the townfolk went to church as usual. The children played outside. As they played, they noticed a stranger dressed in brightly colored clothing. He was playing a delightful tune on his pipe. Laughing and skipping, the children followed the piper. The piper led the children to the hills outside of town. There, he stood beside the mouth of a large cave. One by one, every child danced into the cave. When the last one had entered, the piper stopped his music. Like magic, a huge rock appeared, sealing up the cave. The piper turned and walked away, never to be seen again. But all the children were not in the cave. One child who had sprained her ankle remained outside. She had not been able to keep up with the rest, and even though she told everyone in town where the children were, no one could get them back. The piper had taught everyone a harsh lesson. It is best to pay the piper, or worse things will happen. Wow, kind of a sad story, huh? All right, so what I need you to do now is answer questions 1, 2, and 3, which are on the third page. And it's going to ask you questions about the plot, the feelings, the traits. So go ahead and make sure you read all your choices before you select your answer. And then you can check your answers actually on the bottom and the next page to make sure you're understanding it. Then, on the very last page, it says try it on your own. I would like you to do number 4, 5, and 6 on your own, and then take a picture of it and upload it onto Google Classroom. So only the last page would you need to do that for. You're welcome to go back to that story as often as you need.